We have another question here. We have another question under a limiting reagent of a given reaction. So that's saying a limiting reagent is a reactant that is insufficient or which is in less amount in the number of moles to the relation to the number of moles. Hence, finishes in a given reaction, or it determines the amount of products, or it determines the amount of product. So I have a question here that's saying silicon is a semiconductor that is used in computer chips and the solar cell. It is made by the following reaction. So I have silicon. We have silicon there, chlorate plus magnesium. When silicon is made up or is formed when this reaction, when silicon chlorate and magnesium reacts. As we can see there, we have this silicon, which means being formed there, plus magnesium chloride. The chlorine which is there is going to be what? Replaced by magnesium. And make sure you balance your equations. Make sure you balance the equation. So, they're saying if 225 of silicon chlorate and 225 grams of magnesium is used to prepare the silicon, which reagent is a limiting reagent? Which reagent is a limiting reagent? So we need to consider the reactants and the products. So the first thing we need to choose the product. If we choose the product, remember in our question, they are saying they are more concentrated on silicon. How silicon is being what? Formed. So the first thing we can say we choose a product. The products after the reaction, we can say we have silicon. Second step, convert given masses into moles. We need to find the moles of this magnesium and of this silicon. Of this magnesium and the silicon chlorate. These the reactants. We need to find this, the number of moles of these two. So the first thing, let's find, since we are concentrating in this silicon and the magnesium, the first thing we need to find the magnesium, the number of moles of this magnesium. I can say number of moles of magnesium is equal to mass over, we can say a relative formula mass, the mass of magnesium before it is balanced. We don't consider this. This is same as the number of moles here under limiting reagent. Just consider the mass of magnesium. We can say the mass that have been given in the question. That's saying if 225 of silicon chlorate and 225 of magnesium is used to prepare silicon. So the mass that we're going to use is 225. We're going to say 225 grams over AR. There we can say the whole mass of this magnesium here. It's what? A 24. So you can say 24. Remember the SI is grams per mole. Grams per mole. So we can say equals 225 divided by 24. It's 9.4 moles of magnesium. Second, you need to find the number of moles of of this silicon chloride. So we can say number of moles, we say, of this silicon chloride, we can say the number of moles, we're going to say number of moles is equal to mass over Mr. or AR, just the same. You can say the mass that have been given the question is still 225 gram. What's the Mr. now? We use your periodic table to find the mass number of this chlorine. Then you add the mass number of chlorine. We know that the mass number for chlorine is 35.5. We can say 35.5 times 3. And the answer that we're going to find there, it's 170 grams per mole. Then how do we find the number of moles? We're going to divide. When we divide, our answer will be 1.3 mole of silicon chloride. These are the number of moles. So, another thing they are saying, since we want to find the limiting reagent, we're going to relate this to one another. We need to find the amount of moles produced, the number of moles produced. So we can say moles of silicon, this one, that was being formed, because our concentration is on this one, we relate it by magnesium with our balanced equation. With our balanced equation, we can say here I have 1. There is invisible 1 that the coefficient of this silicon is 1. And these are the number of moles. No wonder when writing this, the mass of magnesium here, the AR, where this one, 24 here, we didn't multiply 2 times 24. This means that the number of what? Moles. So we can say moles of silicon by magnesium. So we can say here on this our equation, we have 1 mole. We can say 1 mole is equal to how many moles of magnesium here? We have 2. We can say 2 moles. We can say 2 moles there. What else? Then you can say X moles of this silicon we don't know, because only have for silicon chloride, but for silicon we don't know. We can say is equal to number of moles of magnesium. I found this one. It's 9.4. Now we cross multiplication there, cross multiply. We're going to say 2x is equal. We're going to say is equal. Since we find the number of moles of this silicon there, we can say 2x moles is equal to 1 times 1.9. 1 times 9.4. Then we divide throughout by 2. What you do the left side, also do to the right side. You can say x is equal to, when we divide, 1 times this one is 9.4. When we divide it 29 there, it's 4. Remainder 1. In 14, 7 moles of silicon. Then another thing, we need to relate this silicon to what? The number of moles of this silicon to number of moles of silicon chloride. So we can say 1 mole of silicon chloride. If we check to our question there, here have 1, that's 1 mole. So we can say is equal to 1 mole of silicon. This one. we can say of silicon. Then what do we do the next? We can say now the number of moles that we have. Remember on top there we have found of this chlorate. Have this number of what? Moles of this chlorate. So we can say 1.3 moles is equal to x. We don't know. We cross multiply. We're going to say x is equal to 1.3 times 1. And the answer still will be x is equal to 1.3 moles of silicon. Is it silicon that we are finding? Yes, of silicon. So now, to our conclusion, we can say the limiting reagent there was chlorine, because we have compared of this chlorine to the products, it's 1.3. Then to the reactants, if we check there, to the reactants there, to the we compared this magnesium to this product here. This is what we are calculating here. We found that it's a 4.7 moles. But after comparing this silicon, the same silicon here, to silicon chlorate, our number of moles it's what? 1.3. Therefore, the one with the smaller amount or small amount of number of moles is a limiting reagent. Therefore, we can say in our reaction, we can say silicon of 1.3 moles is a limiting reagent. So this is what you need to do. No wonder they are saying 7 marks. There is a lot of work to do there.